is Fabrizia, and if you're watching this video, it's because you've chosen to use the gold standard method of the pollination module in the TESSA toolkit. In this short video, we are going to show to you how to make mesh bags for exclusion experiments, and then we will demonstrate how to place these bags on the plants in the field. First of all, you will need to gather all the material necessary to make your mesh bags. The most important piece of material is mosquito net. This is also called tulle. It's available in most haberdashery shops. It comes in different colors. I would suggest using white. And then, even though there are different types, it doesn't really matter too much as long as it is a strong material and the mesh is fine enough to exclude all pollinators. And then you will need some thread, some scissors, needles, and if you have one, a sewing machine. You can still make the bags without a sewing machine. You will just have to sew them by hand, but you'll have to take extra care that the thread is tight enough and that there are no gaps to allow any insect in. The size of the bags will then vary widely according to the crop you're working with and whether you are excluding the entire plant or just a flowering unit. It is very important that you assess how tall and how wide the plant is going to get at the end of the flowering season. And also you need to be aware of how fast the plant is growing through the flowering season, so then when you make your bags you can allow for that growth. Once you have established what size your bags are going to be, then all you have to do is to cut your netting in a rectangle following those measurements with the width twice the size, so that you can fold the netting in half and then sew the top and the length, so that your final result is a bag with an opening at the end to slip it on the plant and then closed at all other extremities. Alternatively, you can also have bags that are open at both extremities, because for instance in plants like field beans that flower bottom up, all the flowers don't need to be covered all together at any one time, but you can cover only the flowers that are open and then slip the bag up as the fruit set at the bottom. And then once that all your bags are sewn and ready to go, we can be off to the fields. In the field, in addition to the bags, you will need some equipment. Specifically, you will need garden tags, some strong thread to tie the bags, scissors and some waterproof permanent markers. Garden tags are used to identify plants and treatments, so choose a meaningful identification code. For instance, we use C, M and F to identify the plants in the tree buffer areas close, medium and far, so that our plants were coded C1 to 15, M1 to 15 and F1 to 15. And then for the alternative state, we used a C1 to 15, a M1 to 15 and a F1 to 15. Also remember to identify the control treatment. For instance, you can use the same plant code as your treatment and add a C in the end. So here you can see some examples of our plants where we identified the treatment stem with the plant code described earlier and then the control treatment with a C. This is just an example. You can use any code that makes sense to you, but make sure that you can easily recognize treatments coming from the same plant. Once you've chosen a suitable location, choose plants which flowers have not opened yet. And then bagging plants from here is a fairly straightforward process. If you're bagging one flower unit, make sure that all the flowers are inside the bag. You may leave some leaves out to minimize any damage and leave more room inside the bag. As your bag is probably going to be way bigger than the stem at this stage, you can roll up the excess bag so that it does not weigh too much on the small stem. Once you put the bag in place, secure it at the bottom of the stem with some thread to which you have attached a tag with the plant code. When tying a bag, make sure that the thread is tight enough so that it does not allow pollinators in, but equally leave a little bit of room for the stem to grow. The bags need to be checked regularly throughout the flowering season, as they need to be adjusted as the plant grows, So this will probably take about 2 to 3 visits depending on the plant. Once that the bag is in place, choose another stem on the same plant that is similar to the bagged one in terms of number of flowers and pre-flowering stage. This time, only tie the garden tag with the control plant code to the stem without a bag. Remember to remove the bags at the end of the flowering season to minimize exposure to pests and diseases. If you have staff or a group of volunteers, this process becomes much quicker and efficient, as you can work in a sort of production line where one person prepares the tags and another 2 people place and tie the bags. The tags may also be prepared prior to the field work if you are by yourself and don't have many volunteers or staff and want to make the field work as quick and efficient as possible. Same goes if you are bagging the entire plant. Here are some examples of exclusion experiments in field beans, where we bag the whole plant. The only difference is that you will need to choose a nearby plant as a control. So again, choose a plant at a similar pre-flowering stage and place a garden tag with the control plant code on it. In this case, bear in mind that the number of plants in your experiment doubles, and also that some stems might escape the bag and need to be excluded. So I would suggest having spare bags with you on your check-in trips. Very importantly, once you have placed the bags, you must ensure that you can locate the plants on a following visit, because depending on the crop, its height and density might change drastically over the flowering season. A good example that I mentioned earlier is oilseed rape, that was at hip height when we bagged the plants, and by the time we removed them at the end of the flowering season, about 3 weeks later, the plants, as you can see, were above my head. So it is paramount to have means to locate the bags, as they will disappear in very dense crop. If you have the technology, you can use GPS locators, or as in our case, you can use a smartphone app. There are many easy to use apps for smartphones. Alternatively, if this technology is not available to you, make sure you identify the plants on a site map and tie a colorful ribbon or some mosquito net on the top of the plant so that they will be visible throughout the plant's growing season.